Oh, yes. Oh, it's all working. It's so good when it's working. I love it. I love it. It's a good Friday morning feeling. What is going on, my fine feathered friends? Yes. I watched Doctor Who again last night. I've been binge watching it. My kids really liked the episode that I shared with them. They really, really liked it. And now I feel guilty because I wanted to watch further without them. And they're young, so I wanted to watch a little further without them to make sure that it was appropriate for them to see it. Okay, the truth is that I wanted to watch it, and I wanted to watch it. But I'm glad I watched ahead because it got dicey. The episode that went right after what we'd watched last was kind of scary. Yeah, it was not necessarily appropriate for young eyes. So that's a good thing. It's a good thing that I screened them out of it, and now I can, fast forward through the sections that they shouldn't see. But are you a Whovian? Do you appreciate Doctor Who? And if so, who's your favorite Doctor? I want to know. My favorite Doctor, I like all the Doctors. I haven't seen all the Doctors. There were a couple of female Doctors. I don't think I watched it during that time. But I did. I loved the 70s Doctors, like the original couple. Well, the old Doctor was super old, but the Doctors that made Doctor Who he is today. If you are watching on TikTok, please hit that follow and subscribe. Actually, regardless of the platform that you're watching on, please follow and subscribe. Know that I can see your questions regardless of where you are because we're making it work. We're making it work. Now, I see Michael, who is in the TikTok room, and he has added some dad jokes, which I will post here. You'll see them, but I'm doing that just so that I can flag it for later. Randy McNaught coming in on YouTube says good morning. Great Friday, everyone. And Tien says good morning, y'all. Welcome to the party. Now, I was wondering, here's what happened. I was preparing for the whole live stream business, and then realized that I hadn't taken the garbage out. But the joy of working from home and doing this on my own time means I can do what I got to do, and I did. I very specifically went and took the garbage out and left myself very little time to get into this whole setup. Okay, we got greetings and salutations from Akela. And Brandon says, good morning, all. Let's have a fantastic day. It's already a fantastic day. And I got the garbage up. So my garbage gets picked up separately than my recycling. And it comes up early, whereas recycling, they show up whenever they want. It just whenever they want. Nicholas Rizzi with more questions. Coming in through X this time. You're changing platforms on me, Nicholas. Normally we chat on Instagram. Okay, speaking of platforms. Oh yeah, there's the live stream. Checking to see that I am there. If you are on TikTok, please hit the screen. Don't hit the screen. Don't break your screen, but tap the screen repeatedly until you can no longer feel your fingertips, because that helps tell other people on the platform that we're worthy of watching. So what is this and who am I? My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And you may notice on screen that it says bear tax law. That is only because bear tax law is our first official sponsor. Yeah. So putting 45 minutes on the clock, this is to tell me that at the end of which I can stop talking and move on to other stuff and things, only because I got a lot going on. It has been busy. And that's a good thing, truly. But it means that I have to be more responsible with my time. When the whole day was all about you and I had no other responsibilities except taking care of you, I was able to spend 2 hours online, and I love doing it. In fact, I was chatting. We have what do we have? We have a Telegram group. And if you go to is it called Telegram? I think it's Telegram. Let me test this out, make sure it still works. Telegram.trafficcop.ca. Let's test it out. Telegram.trafficcop.ca. No, it doesn't work. Did I change it? Maybe I changed it. Oh, that's traffic.ca. Trafficcop.ca. Important to have the whole URL when you type things in. It worked. 22 people in there. Very nice. Awesome. So it works. Now, if you want to join the conversation, we're just a friendly group of people who watch the show, might have an interest in traffic and education, and we shoot the poop in there. It's not about questions and answers all the time, although that is a way to get a hold of me. All right. Boom, boom, boom. So Barrett Legal, we talked about those magical people. Let's keep moving here. Nicholas wants to know if I make my kids obey the law when playing Grand Theft Auto, it is possible to follow the law. We don't play that Grand Theft Auto. I have played it in its early renditions, but I've never, my kids don't play it. My kids are young and they play very young people games. Like, they basically have like sticker packs and they have doll houses that are electronic. I don't understand it. This is the original question from Nicholas. Have you ever pulled someone over and it turned out to be a stolen car, or a mob boss was driving, or massive amounts of drugs in the car, or you're just your favorite celebrity? Okay, let's talk about this. Okay, and I see questions from Oleg and Tequila. We will get you in just a second. So on the topic of pulling someone over and it turned out to be stolen, have recovered stolen vehicles. Yes. Have pulled over bad people and pulled them over for legitimate reasons. And not all the time do we pull them over and say, hey, you're a mobster, you're a bad guy. And sometimes we just let them go. And that's one that pops into mind, was a situation where it was a bad guy. But it was more important to find out about him as opposed to anything else. So he got a ticket and he went home, because that's the reason I pulled him over. And then I called people and said, hey, do you know, I just met, yeah, he's driving this car and that car and this. And so sometimes it's not about yanking the mob boss out of the car. If you even have a reason or a right to, if you wanted to. And then massive drugs. I investigated a collision involving an impaired driver, and it turned out they had gobs of drugs in the car. And I did. It did result in arrests, and it was a bad day at the office for them. But it's all in a day's work. Favorite celebrity? I never pulled over my favorite celebrity, but I pulled over some news people. And one of them, I really regret giving them a break because they were weenies. Should have given them a ticket, but I gave them a break. They ran a stop sign. Shouldn't have done it. It was, no, don't like his face. Anyway, if you know who you are. Anyway, I got a quote from Kayla. Okay, let's get into stuff and things here. I got the dad jokes from Michael. Okay. Do they still have Toronto Police Service hockey leagues for members? We are involved, or I never played hockey with them, but there are hockey leagues. There are police hockey leagues, and playing amongst police officers. Divisions play against each other. I don't know if they play the firefighters because they're usually napping. But anyway, yes, I was so. We're watching Beast Games. Who's watching Beast Games? You're watching Beast Games? I love Beast Games. And we were talking about the drama, and one of the guys is a retired fire captain. And, we were talking about the politics of who's getting voted off the island. And, of course, I won't ruin it for you if you haven't caught up. But, my daughter asked me if I would vote him, the fire captain, on or off the island. And I said, I kind of like the firemen, even though they nap on duty. And she just thought that was so funny, but they have sleepovers. They literally sleep at the station. It's not a bad thing, but we make fun of them for it. And just because we're jealous, cops wish they could nap at duty. Some do actually, but they're not supposed to. Tequila says, how long will a license suspension stay on my driver's license history? Will my insurance get lower? Okay. So if it's a suspension, it's technically on your license record forever. Like the government, police, when we pull up your license, we see everything since the day you were first made an entry on, whether it be the first time you got a ticket or the first time you were charged or the first time you got licensed, depending on what was the first thing that happened. In any case, it's always there. Can the insurance company see it? They can see a 3-year snapshot currently and 3 years back, and it's usually convictions, but I imagine they can see suspensions as well because they can see status of the license to make sure you're properly licensed. So worst case scenario, I would say 3 years, but I will tell you that they will make notes and their memory goes back beyond 3 years. So even if they are not looking at it currently, they will have knowledge of it. How long until they change it? That's up to them. It's a private company. Just a shout out to KGH and Tequila and Noah and Jonathan and Kat, Kudo, Nick, X with a fancy red X, and Inger, who are the top viewers in here right now. So welcome to you. Welcome. Thanks for dropping by. Let's see here. We got just an ask that you share the live. I couldn't hear it, then I could hear it. Share the live with your friends and your family. Let them know that I'm here doing this. I'm a former police officer who asks questions. I answer traffic and police questions, and it's a place you can come to get information about stuff and things. It's good stuff. But I appreciate you, all of you. All right, going on. Let's see here. If I record people driving recklessly on my dash cam, where can I send the footage? Sammy, you can send it to me, not because it's going to result in charges, but I'd love to put those kind of videos in a response. I love putting them up online and sharing the audacity of these drivers who choose to do dumb stuff on the road, and we should make them all famous. But if you want to report them to police, you can go into the portals. You can upload the video to your favorite platform and then send a link to the police, because most police agencies won't accept a file to be sent for security reasons, but you can certainly share with them a link. And will it result in charges? Depends. Generally speaking, no. Generally speaking, it has to be something that captures date, time, location, and identity of the driver, and of course, the identity of the vehicle. If it doesn't, they don't have the ability to lay charges, and you'd have to also go and testify against them as to where and how the video was taken. So more often than not, what happens is you make a report, they make a file, and then that becomes something that shows up when police run the plates next time. So if I were to drive by and pull someone over and says, I see the history here. There's 5 reports of obnoxious driving or dangerous driving made by people in the community. I can't lay charges based on it, but I'm certainly not giving that person a warning. I'm going to give them a charge. Bernhard has a joke. We'll take that joke and we'll put it on the screen in a little bit. Okay. Hang on a second. There we go. Oh, Nicholas has a dad joke. All right. Caden, can you have your phone in your pocket while driving? Yes, because it's in your pocket, you're not using it. So you would be absolutely okay to have it in your pocket. If your pocket was transparent and you were playing backgammon on it, that would be really weird, wouldn't it? And that would be illegal. But but in terms of having it stored in your pocket, not in use, that is an acceptable location to store your phone. Kudo said they just saw a TikTok about Odit. Is this true? So I saw the same video. I'm assuming it's a woman sitting behind the desk saying, breaking news, there's information that police have the ability to go into your phone, whether it be, surreptitiously, like with or without your consent, or if they get a warrant. When it bounced around. I've never heard of this. Now, I'm a traffic cop, or was a traffic cop. Is it possible that exists somewhere? It's possible. Could they put malware or get into your phone somehow? Anything's possible. I'm not going to say it's true or not because I have no knowledge of it. I'd love to know what their source is and how they're coming to this information. Was it because, the information at CES came out? Like, did they come out and say, all your phones are crap and there's no security? Like, I know that Apple is seriously security conscious or seriously serious about security. Anyway, the deal is that if we brick a phone ourselves, we can't get into it. So I don't think this is real, but I'd love to know what the sources are and research it. So let's circle back and talk next week on Odit, and I'll see if I can find anything out. But from my level of policing, municipal policing, I've never heard of it. They did say it's breaking news and maybe it's brand new. I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, there's a major company in in the Middle East that can crack phones, but that's serious investment of time and money. They have software that does it, but that's an entire company that focuses on this, and I can't remember what it's called. Maybe somebody from the audience knows. It's not just an app we run and make it happen, and it takes some significant weight from the courts to make that legal. Good morning, your Brazilian fan is watching. Hey, Evandro, good to see you, my friend. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Can food delivery drivers use their phones while driving? This is the question from multiple periods. I don't know. The username is just periods. So I'll put it up on screen. I'm trying to cut and paste to make it work because we're running a little more relaxed this morning, so it's good. The deal is that technically, no. Technically, you can be in the phone mode or you can be in your map mode, but you can't be surfing or reading dispatch offers for jobs. So you can't make career choices of where you want to pick and choose, because that would constitute use, and that would be illegal. So you would be eligible for a ticket for $615 if you're using it. And it doesn't matter if it's mounted or not. It cannot be done. Now, Michael says, mounted and displayed, map only, not allowed to operate, handle communication devices. Bang on the money. Yeah. If you're legally parked in a place where you can get out and leave your car and not get towed, that is where you can use your cell phone legally. Anything outside of that, not allowed. So, all the food drivers are breaking the law. All the Uber drivers are breaking the law when they're accepting orders while they're driving. And they get charged all the time. And they get shocked, like, but I'm working. Doesn't mean you get to break the law. Police officers, however, are allowed to break the law because they're not actually breaking it. They're exempted during the lawful execution of their duties from using devices. They're allowed to use two-way radios. They're allowed to use cell phones and laptops. And that's because they've got a reason that goes beyond delivering people's lunch. Although it's important, it's not the same as public safety and officer safety. Yeah. Bernhardt's joke. Stand by. We're going to take that off screen. One of these days, I'm going to hire someone, and they're going to be my producer, and they're going to do all this cutting and pasting. I see a future with a producer. If you're watching, you don't know who I am. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And recently, I was reached out to. I was contacted by a member of the media, and they said, "Hey, listen, can we talk about a couple things? I'm really curious about private property and stop signs, and whether or not they're legal. Like, you have to stop for a stop sign on private property." And we got into some great discussions about different stuff and things. But that was one that I haven't talked about recently. So, did you know that those signs are not enforceable? Now, this is not an invitation to go break all the safe driving rules on private property, but you can't get a ticket for running a stop sign on private property. And many of you know that already, but I'm putting it out there for the people who don't know. But here's what you may not consider: while you can't be charged for breaking that or disobeying that stop sign, if you hit somebody, you're still responsible for the collision. So it's still dumb. That's what I wanted to say. I was trying to work in a way to just make fun of people. Let's see here. Oh. So Nicholas says, since you're retired now, who on the force do you know or know of that had a reputation for not following the rules and the chief kept yelling at him, but by God, he gets his job done? So there's nobody that I'm aware of that's a movie character that the chief knows that they exist, accepts their bad behavior because they do such great work. I don't know. I mean, generally speaking, the people who get into trouble for really stupid stuff. There's also people who get into trouble for really big stuff, but the thing is, there's accountability. Like, no one gets away with it. It's not. There's people who move slower than others. They might get away with that because they're still working, just slowly. Let's see here. Okay, we got Evandra who says, failing to remove snow from a car's windows is considered a separate fine for each side of the vehicle, all four sides in total, with 2 demerits for each side. It could be. I think it would be unreasonable to give someone 4 tickets for obscuring the windows. First of all, the back windows, there's no ticket for obscuring the rear window as long as there is a clear view to the rear by way of a rear view mirror, that's side mirrors or rear mirror. So to give a ticket for the rear window being covered and obscuring their vision, not appropriate right off the bat. Now, insecure load, maybe. Now, it's triable. It's a question. Some agree or disagree that it's worthy of a charge of insecure load because you're transporting someone's snow, not your snow, was put there by someone else, and that person meant for you to wash the car. They were supposed to clean the car of the snow. If that snow becomes dislodged and flies up and it causes collision, blindness, whatever the case is, you're responsible for that. So, yeah, you could get done for insecure load, especially if it turns to ice and it damages other. Like, there's so many potential bad things that could happen. Anyway, the windows left and right of the driver. Yeah, you can be, if those are obstructed by snow, ice, whatever, you can get charged $110. but I would charge that once. I wouldn't charge it for every window, regardless of whether or not I could do that and get away with it. Windshield is the one that I'm most pissed off about. If I see someone who has scraped out a little like they're in an armored vehicle, they're driving a tank and they're looking through the slit, that one would be one that I would lay charges for, because it's super stupid and dangerous, like way over the realm of what's okay. And it's, when you don't clean the snow on the roof of your vehicle and you hit the brakes after things have thawed a little bit, there's that nice little layer of water and it just slides down and blinds you. So it's a collision waiting to happen, and I would charge those people without question. Yeah, but I wouldn't do all four sides just because they didn't do it. Stephen Bell, what's going on? Roads or Recruitment, hello. Hey, it's JC, my brother from another mother who's currently enjoying his winter in Mexico. I've got a friend coming to Mexico, probably not the same area of Mexico, but I'm now jealous and want to go to Mexico because everyone's going to somewhere warm. Yeah, I like to travel, need to travel, haven't traveled, probably won't travel this year, maybe next year. All right. Tian says I'd be willing to volunteer for the copying and pasting in the meantime, whenever I'm able to catch the stream. We could talk about that, actually. Maybe we reenact the volunteer corps of moderators. Thank you, Tian. Okay. Sergeant Martin Riggs was one of those cops. He was, in fact, one of those cops. And I don't know if you caught the little clip from the episode or the live stream from a couple days ago, but Nicholas asked me, what movie cop would I want to be? And I always think about Lethal Weapon, but I don't want to be him because people don't think about the backstory. He's a guy living on the beach in a trailer. I said motorhome, but I think it's a trailer, because I'm pretty sure his wife and kid are dead. Like, it's not a good backstory. And he's got like mental health issues beyond, out the wazoo. Anyway, it's a problem. So I wouldn't choose him, but he was definitely a cop that the chief, had a love-hate relationship for, I'm sure. Great movies, though. Okay. Curly says, greatest traffic cop. Is that Axel Foley or me? I don't know who we're talking about, but thank you regardless. I like the comment is good. Vino Howe, follow the host. Well, thank you for following, and Kudo followed as well. Okay, we've got Matthew who says, is it true you can pass a vehicle any place, anytime, even with solid lines? So that is too open a blanket statement. It's too blanket a blanket statement. It's a blanket statement that isn't really appropriate, because while you can cross a line legally in the province of Ontario, does that mean you can simply do what you want when you want? No, there's obviously safety concerns that you have to take into consideration. And if you cause a collision, you are responsible for whatever you do. So be wary of the lane changes and overtaking that is dangerous, because you can certainly be charged with careless driving, dangerous driving. There are areas where it's prohibited regardless of the lines, like where there's no visibility if you're going up a hill and there's no visibility of what's coming up the other side, that is dangerous and it's a prohibited area for passing. If there's signage that says no passing, regardless of in the province of Ontario, there's no charge for crossing the line on the ground. Cross the line in safety, different story. So there we go. Okay. Love these questions. Kudo says, thanks for answering my question. I hope you have a good day. Got yourself my fault. Thank you so much, Kudo. Okay. You see, and then Michael says, not near curves, crests of grades, way crossing, etc. Yes. And of course, anywhere sign. Cat Main says, so basically every driver is breaking the rules because you only get 30 seconds to accept offers. Yes. Every driver who is, every Uber or food delivery driver who is touching their phone and using it is breaking the law. Now, if you blindly saw a job pop up and you just hit the button, you can legally answer a phone call by touching it. I would say, as a police officer, seeing you just accepting whatever came your way as reasonable. Me, personally, Sean, I would think it's reasonable. Somebody else could say, you touched your phone, you're screwed. But you're legally allowed to answer a call. So, you may not have a defense in court if you're charged, but you'll be operating within what's legitimately or acceptable, I think, practice. However, and there is a big however, if you pick up the phone, if you look at the phone, if you're reading the job, if you're picking the job because you want the one that has more money available, or you're picking which one's closer, as soon as you're reading and engaging, you're using that screen, and you have gone beyond the fact that you are simply accepting a call. You are now using your phone, and I think you deserve the charge. Totally different situation. So one, blindly saying yes to whatever comes your way because you're an eager beaver who wants the job. I say you'd be able to articulate that not only to the police officer, but if it went to court, I think you could be able to make the argument that this is no different than accepting a phone call. I didn't read it. I just swiped it. I don't care what I get as long as I get the job. But then you have to read the job to know where you're going, at which point you'd have to pull over legally to stop and read it because you cannot read that job while you're driving. So we're going through a conversation where I'm actually trying to work this out for you and make it make sense, because it's not cut and dry. You'd be able to make certain arguments in court. Whether the justice would accept them is a different story. I think you'd be able to make the argument, and then the independent trier of fact would be the one deciding your fate. Yeah. By the way, King of the North Auction does not sponsor me, but they did give me this jersey, and it's very warm, and that's why I'm wearing it. I'm not sponsoring them, but I spend a whole lot of money there. So if they wanted to sponsor me, I'd be accepting it. I wouldn't say no. Stephen Bell said good morning, but says, I refuse to drive my sister-in-law's van until she gets her plates renewed. That would be a good idea, because you're the one who's going to get charged if her plates are not valid. And they do automatically renew as long as you don't have unpaid fines. So if hers are not valid, I'm assuming she don't pay her bills. Hopefully she has insurance. But don't just drive people's vans or trucks or whatever they got, assuming that it's okay, assuming it's valid. Make sure that you have proof that it's valid, because you are going to be unhappy when you get charged if you're wrong. FM Promotions, hello, my friend. Good to see you. David Shaw, how you doing? Manraj Virk, what's happening, friend? We got lots of people. Mustafa Safari TPS joined. How you doing? Peter John William, good to see you. Let's see here. Superman says, you lost your job? I didn't lose my job. I left. I retired from policing. But no, I did not lose my job. I could have stayed for another 10, 15 years. Do I miss my job? I do. I miss my friends and police family. I don't miss the 3 hours of driving I used to do a day. And I really do appreciate the flexibility I have by being at home. And now that I am not a police officer, I am now working with the Better Traffic Safety Education not-for-profit that is being sponsored by Barrett Legal. But we're talking to all sorts of people who are looking to sponsor and grow the organization, because our goal is to help make roads safer across Canada and the United States. And we want to do that through education. We want to make Ask a Traffic Cop a household name across North America by getting police officers who are involved in different jurisdictions to come on and talk about their jurisdictional rules and regulations. So if you have cops that are, I don't know, out west, in none of it, anywhere, and we want to talk about the rules for there, well, we'll do a show that's just for that province. Then we can all learn something new, because while I know lots about the Ontario rules, I don't know much about the other rules. Obviously, the ones that are similar or the same are the same, but things are different. I've got a friend of mine, and I've got to get him back on the show. He's in Brooks, Alberta, and he does traffic enforcement. I was so shocked to find out how much more expensive the majority of fines are out there. Well, they're cheaper when it comes to stunt driving, but a stop sign, I'm quite certain way more money. Way more. All right. Let's see here. Chris Bush followed. Is that an ampersand and a whole bunch? Follow. Thank you for following. And Monty says, so I have to park before I can accept my Uber trip. Legally park. You got to be sitting at the side of the road waiting for a job. That's how you should be doing it, because if you're going to shop on your phone, the only time you can legally interact with your phone is when you're legally parked. Okay. A lot of people discussing how it doesn't make sense that you have to park before you can accept your Uber trip. You can't use your phone, folks. So if you're driving around and you're using your phone, you're going to get charged. And what is the consequence for the charge? It is $615. At least the face of the ticket. It could go up in court up over $1,000, I believe. And you're looking at a 3-day suspension the first time. You're looking at a 3 demerit point the second time. You're going to get a 7-day suspension the second time, 6 demerit points. And then you can get a 30-day suspension, 30 day? I think it's 30-day suspension the third time. I've never seen anybody with a third suspension. You'd think they learn before that, but it's an addiction. People can't seem to put down the phone. Okay. Water good. Okay. Monty says, or sorry, ellipses, or multiple periods says, when you only have a few seconds to take your Uber trip, how do you afford the time to pull over and park? You shouldn't be shopping for work while you're driving. You should be pulled over waiting for a job. So if you pull into a parking lot, pull into a legal parking spot, and you're sitting there, you get a call, you start your car, you drive there. If you're just cruising, you're not only burning gas, wasting time, but you are making it unsafe. And that's why it's illegal. It's unsafe to use your phone. Superman says Mike's makes sense. Also, shout out to Superman. Big fan of your movies. Okay. Sean retired. That's from Traffic Nerd. Thank you, sir. Okay. What do we got here? Contact support suggests they work with virtual assistants to use voice command. You know what? Michael, that's a great piece of advice. And it's like you're reading my mind, because while I was yapping about all the ways of doing it, why wouldn't they just add voice commands to the Uber app so that they can verbally read the, Uber, if you're listening, that's a really good idea. Credit to Michael. Audibly announce those rides and have Siri ask to confirm or deny. You could describe everything, like you're 500 feet away from the next Uber ride. Would you like to accept this? Yes. Okay. Well, that makes so much sense. Michael, I'm putting you up for a promotion at Uber. You should be the president. Just saying. Okay. Catmain says, I know every driver has to use their phone while they're on the road. No, doesn't have to. People choose to. They choose to be unsafe. They choose to break the law. They don't have to. People did survive and exist prior to the invention of phones that were cellular and portable and had video games. I discovered a new game. So I was playing a game, which then got me to play another game because it showed me an ad. I generally delete games after playing for half an hour because I don't want them in my life. I want to experience it. I want a challenge of is this puzzle actually puzzling? And then I delete it because I can't. I get sucked into these games. I'll spend hours instead of being productive. But I played one where it was like all these cars, they could only turn in different directions and you have to escape. And it was fun. I played like 50 levels very quickly. And I'm good at the game. What can I say? But it's the same thing again and again and again. So I've deleted it. It's lost interest. Why did I bring that up? I don't know. Yeah, don't know why I said that. What did I read? No, can't remember. Okay. Let's see here. Missy Hippie official says, if you go through a stop sign because of black ice, would you be charged for failure to stop? You would be eligible. You ran the stop sign. You could say, well, I tried to stop. And the answer from a police officer would be, then you were traveling faster than the road conditions would allow. You should have been going slower. If you were going slower, you would have avoided it. Now, it doesn't mean you would be charged, but you're responsible for it. You would likely be charged because ice is not an excuse for your actions. You're still responsible for what that car does. If you crash into another car because you slid, you'd still be responsible for that crash. So, yeah. Now, police officer would likely be able to see if your brake lights were activated, when you lost control. So, yeah, they may or may not choose to lay the charge. They never saw brake lights. If it looked like you just drove right through it, that would be different than if you spun out of control and hit the curb and had $10,000 damage to your drivetrain. They probably would feel bad and say, okay, fine. We'll give you a warning. But you're still responsible. Okay. Oh, question from Evandro. Come on. Where'd it go? If I am working with a minivan and it is loaded with work materials inside, blocking the rear view, obstructing visibility, is there a penalty for this? As long as you have rear view mirrors, side mirrors that show a clear view to the rear of the vehicle, then nobody should be laying a charge of having your windows blocked. Remember, you don't have to have rear windows. There are vehicles that are panel vans, that are work trucks. They don't have rear windows. The mirrors in the front are applied there or often removed because they serve no purpose. But they have to have rear view mirrors that clearly show a view to the rear, or a camera system that does the same thing. But you should not be charged for blocking the rear mirror, the rear window. It's ridiculous. There's a charge there, but it's only applicable if you don't have side mirrors. But it's a great question. Now, I will tell you something else about working in a minivan with loaded with work materials. Are those work materials secured properly? If you were in a collision, would it become a projectile within the vehicle and kill the driver or hurt somebody within the vehicle? Possibly. Thus, you could be charged with insecure load, depending on how those packages and stuff and things are secured within the vehicle. Stephen Bell says, I always ignore my text messages when I used to drive, even though my phone was mounted. Well, that's the way you're supposed to do it. In fact, you can turn on your in-car mode. I know with the Apple mode, I'm sure it's with the Android stuff too. But the deal is that you can actually make it so that it'll go into car mode. It'll tell people that you're driving, you're not available. It'll ignore messages. It won't display stuff. If I plug into CarPlay, so it knows I'm in the car, and it says, oh, new message popped up. You give voice commands. Read me my new messages. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to touch your phone. These phones are amazing. You in the googly goo or the Siri, and it does everything. You can make appointments, make notes, send emails. You can do it all by voice, which is still distracting, but not illegal. There you go. Nicholas Rizzi, if you could have a cool one-liner you could use anytime you arrested someone, what would it be? Like Book 'em Dano, or I don't know. I don't know. Think about that. That's not something I can just throw out there, buddy. That takes years of work. Mind you, I've had years to develop it. I've never worked on it. Oh, you go to a comedy show and the comedian is roasting cops. How many jokes do you let the comedian do before you begin cracking skulls? Do you know what? Cop humor is usually very funny, and it tends not to be hateful. It tends to be very positive and funny, positive. Okay. Polly B, how you doing? Chris Bush, how are you? Pickle on what? Then Monty, Troy Blaine, Al Ferguson, Ashley, Barry Peck, Uncle Caps, and Somberry. Hello, welcome. Where do we go? Superman says, just clean off the windows. Yes. Sorry, I'm reading comments in different orders. The timeline, I'm behind like 15 minutes on TikTok, but then I read something, so it takes it out of sequence. Even though you're all listening at the same time, my reading it may be out. Monty says, they're not going to change and add voice prompts from one person requesting it. No, but you know what? Instead of TikTok being on the banned list from the Canadian government, maybe they should make it that Uber is on the banned list because they aren't using voice prompts, and then they'd have to update the software to make the change. You're right, they won't do it for one. And if they don't do it, then they're really not interested in your safety. But TikTok isn't something that is a problem for safety. Do any of you on the app right now feel unsafe? No. Does anybody in the app currently care if an alleged foreign power knows when you're using the app on the toilet? It's ridiculous. Every app is watching you. But this is all about money, I think. I don't think it involves anything else. It is all about American companies losing out on advertising revenue to a company that has the only weakness it has is an affiliation with another government. So they go to decide that, I could go on forever. I'm so annoyed by this bull crap. Okay. Oh, did I tag you? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm sitting here. Boom, boom, boom. Might have been by accident. Yeah, it was an accident. Shapiro Wired is me. It's my moderator account. And something I'm working to develop, doing not traffic safety, completely non-police related. Shapiro Wired is for tech and travel, but I started off strong, and then I had to pull away from it temporarily. But I plan on releasing a whole bunch of content there. If I have a retractable license plate, but always have it displayed while driving, is it illegal? That's from F32. It is not legal. Sorry, it is legal to have the retractable license plate system as long as it's not retracted. It's for display purposes it shows, I'm assuming. If you're always showing your plates, then there's no reason, there's no issue. If you have a cover, it's a different story. You can't have a cover on your plate even if it's transparent. Okay. A silly question. Can I drink and drive? I have a really high tolerance. No. That's just silly. And we're moving on. Can't drink and drive. Has nothing to do with your tolerance and your believability. Do you remember watching? Well, you probably don't remember watching because I'm old and you're probably not. But it was, what was it called? It was Weird Science. And these two young men who create a beautiful woman using their computer. I think it was a Commodore 64. Anyway, they conjure this woman played. Who played it? It was Kelly LeBrock, who used to be married to a keto master. What was his name? Steven Seagal. Anyway, Kelly LeBrock appears and helps to bring them towards adulthood, not sexually, but they at one point get drunk for the first time, and one character is sitting in the back seat and he's demanding the keys to the car. Give me the keys. I can drive. Give me the keys. And he was drunk. Probably looks a lot like the guy who says, I have a high tolerance. Let me drive. Okay. I want to watch that movie now. It was a great movie. Okay. Is it okay to use your digital interface on the dash while driving? Uncle Caps wants to know. So if you're talking about the giant Tesla mini computer screen, actually it's not so mini, it's a 15-inch screen, that is legal to interface as long as it doesn't interfere with your ability to safely operate your motor vehicle. You can change your air conditioning, you can change the radio station, you're legally allowed to do that. But if it interferes with your ability to safely operate the vehicle, that's against the law. Savannah, thanks for the rose. Appreciate it. I saw a gift. It was nice. I only caught it by the corner of my eye too, because it was only on a little screen here. It doesn't show up on the big screen that I'm aware of. Maybe it does. If it does, I'll confirm it again. But I don't think it does. So yeah, you can interact with it. You cannot allow it to interfere with your driving. Driving's still a priority. And of course, you can't watch movies and television, video games. Those are supposed to be restricted unless you're parked. Hope that helps. A lot of people don't like the fact that you can do that. They try and justify cell phone use because, hey, there's a giant screen there. Why can't I use the itty bitty screen? Well, part of it is it's an itty bitty screen and it's not driving. Focus on driving. That's what you should be doing. Oh yes. I can't pronounce your name, 72. No, not going to try. Okay. Not just the windows, clean off the brake lights and turning lights. Yes. Remove the snow from upon your vehicle. All of it, and your license plate too. You can be charged for dirty plate, covering your plate. It's all chargeable stuff. Yosa says, I was just in Miami. Everyone is such a horrible driver, fearful of my life on my bike. If you were on a bicycle or a motorcycle, being anywhere in Florida. So I was recently in Florida too. Back in September, I spoke at a police social media convention and training event. I don't know what it was, seminar. Thing, whatever. I spoke at Smile Conference. Yeah. So it's called Smile Conference, social media and law enforcement. And I was all over Florida, was there. And you're right. Driving there is scary because everyone is driving incredibly fast. And then they're driving in all variety of jalopy to high-end vehicle. And everyone's just sort of doing whatever they want. And it's scary. But the Florida Highway Patrol is out there. They're pretty awesome. I spoke to some Orange County sheriffs and actually I was there I arrived the day that the second assassination attempt on President Trump took place at Mar-a-Lago. I was there for that. Yeah. Okay. It was scary. Apparently it's scary in Texas too. I've not been to Texas other than their airport. And apparently like 20 miles over their already 70-mile-an-hour speed limits is not uncommon, which sounds like it's terrifying to be there. But I look forward to visiting Texas because I like barbecue soon. And Savannah, I do see the roses now. Thank you so much. Michael, they may not feel wasted, but judgment and what is this? You may not feel wasted, but judgment and senses still impacted. Yes. So in relation to impaired drivers who think they are good, are really a bad judge. Never ask a drunk for advice because they drunk. You wouldn't want your lawyer drunk and representing you, even if they had a high tolerance. Day Day says, why do laws always change? Why can't we find a set of rules that work for everyone? So this is great. Rules tend to change because people can't seem to follow them. And then they add new rules to try and change the behavior, and they don't follow them. So then they make the law more strict because they don't follow them. Greatest example ever is handheld communication device. So careless driving was an umbrella that worked for it. Careless driving, if you're on your phone, it's careless. You're not focusing on driving, it's careless driving. And then they invented cell phones, and careless driving seemed too serious. $495 and 6 demerit points seemed heavy-handed. So they made it $125. No demerit points. And they were going to try to slowly, gradually teach people that using your cell phone while driving is bad. But then they didn't stop. And they raised the rates, and I think it was 160 or 175, still no demerit points. And people didn't stop. So they made it 2.25, I think, and added demerit points, and people got upset that they got demerit points, but it didn't stop. Well, now we're at $615, and it doesn't stop. So what do? Is it hard labor in a prison camp? Like, how do we convey to people, put the crap in the back seat, turn it off, or do we put them in Faraday cage? Maybe all cars need to be constructed in a Faraday cage, configuration so that signals don't enter the car. I'm thinking that would possibly maybe prevent cell phone use. Anyway, I'm having a little fun with that answer, but as you can see, I'm pretty passionate about traffic safety, and things that interfere with traffic safety piss me off. Stevie wants to know if I'm okay if you go 140 on the 401. I would charge you for 40 over if I was policing the 401. So no, it's not okay if you go 40 over. Why on earth would anyone need to do 40 over? It's unsafe. It's not legal. You don't deserve to drive if you go that fast. Now, have I gone that fast? Sure. Was I in a police car? Yes. They're allowed to speed. You're not. Upsets people, but too bad. Stevie says, I have a tinted license plate cover. Is that okay? No, it's not. You cannot put anything tinted or clear to cover your plate. Not even a license plate frame that says your favorite Ford dealer. Not legal. 123 says, I'm worried. And then follows to say, I feel the world is bad. And then they follow up to say, please tell me what to do. Accept the fact that the world is a place that is not a wonderful place all the time. There are happy, sad, good, and bad, it's tough. And if you're in a financial mess, talk to someone who does financial stuff. I don't have financial advice for you. I can tell you that there are avenues. If you talk to Barrett Legal, I think they can even help you with insolvency and stuff. Maybe you have to go bankrupt. I don't know. That's not my thing. And I happened to be around when someone was talking about that at the office. So I know that they've dealt with things like that. But there are specifically companies, and I don't know if Barrett Legal does it, but there are companies that deal with that, and they make proposals and try and help you with your debt. Not something I'm advertising, not something I know anything about. Undead Neon, happy Friday. How you doing, my friend? Long time no see. User not available. Says, I have an e-bike. I accidentally went 50 kilometers an hour, and will I get pullover? So your e-bike isn't an e-bike if you're even capable of 50 kilometers an hour on a flat surface. An e-bike has to be maximum ability, capable of 32 kilometers an hour. What you have is a motorcycle, which needs license, ownership, and insurance. So if you were driving that and you're caught at 50 kilometers an hour on a flat surface, you would be charged for drive motor vehicle, no insurance, drive motor vehicle, no license plate, drive motor vehicle, no license if you're not licensed as a motorcycle operator. You're looking at, just for the insurance alone, $5,000 to $25,000 and up to 6 months in jail. So yeah, not a good look. If you had a limiter on it, put it back on. Truthfully, the limiter is not enough. The fact that it's capable of going 50K an hour means that the bike does not comply with regulation, regardless of whether or not the button that you press keeps it legal on paper. That's just, dealers telling you a load of crap so they can sell you a couple $1,000 bike. Yes, thanks for the follow. Their usernames, yes. And thank you to Michael who answered that question. It is definitely a motorcycle. Life of Rach says, are all plate frames illegal or only ones with a cover? All plate frames. Anything that touches or covers any. So a frame, if it frames it and only goes around the side and does not obstruct anything on the front, it would be legal. But the plate frames even cover portions of it. Like if If it covers anything at all, it's technically illegal. But if it covers Ontario, because there's other jurisdictions that have the same color scheme, you won't know if it's Ontario or somewhere else if you cover Ontario. Can't cover the yours to discover. Can't do none of that. All right. Check in here. Oh, good. Okay. 0 time left. That means I'm got 10 minutes to wrap up. Okay. Yes. So pickle on. Okay. We'll just call you the pickle. Comes straight from e-bike store that way, has a switch on it for going 32 kilometers to 80 kilometers an hour. So that device is not legal for the road. Because it has a switch, it's capable of going faster, makes it not an e-bike. Now, the law doesn't say that you can have a switch that limits it. That's not saying I have a Tesla, but if I drive it at 32 kilometers an hour, it's an e-bike, not a car. Well, it's the same thing here. It is an e-bike if it's not capable of going more than 32, but clearly if it has a switch on it, it is capable. And you are the deciding factor. You switch the switch and it goes. It cannot have more than 500 watts power. If it does 80, I guarantee you it has more than 500 watts power. Not legal. Does it weigh more than 120 kilos? That's the maximum weight. It has to have functioning pedals. There's so much more that goes into it. I have links to the law on this on trafficcop.ca. Check it out. Diego sent something. I don't know what that is, but thank you very much for it regardless. Looks like a coin. Is that a Dogecoin? Are you guys in crypto? I'm interested in crypto. I'm not like deep into crypto, but I have some crypto. I find it interesting. I hope that it goes through the roof. Let it make lots of money. Okay. I've been ignoring YouTube. My apologies. Hang on. Oh no, Chase has to go bail out his dad with jumper cables. Please make sure everyone gets their car battery checked, especially in the cold weather. They are usually only good for 4 to 5 years. Very good advice. Yeah, battery health is a real thing. They don't last forever. And buying a good quality battery makes a huge difference. And putting it on the charger every once in a while, if it's not being used regularly, or if they find that if you have phantom draw anywhere. I used to go away on vacation and find out that my dash cam killed my battery. So I, pulled it out. I made sure I had and this time around, I put on a device that will protect the battery when the voltage gets below a certain amount, it turns it off. Whatever the case is, don't get stuck out in the cold. Take Chase's advice. Akela says, comments out of order. Who says time is linear? It's all timey-wimey. Timey-wimey. We're talking a Whovian right there. I'm assuming you're a Whovian. You're into all sorts of sci-fi, Akela. I have no question. You know stuff. Nicholas says, what's your advice to a new cop hired on the force? Stay you. Keep your friends that are outside of the police force friends. Don't only talk to, don't do what some people do, which is only think they can talk to police. Obviously, you can't disclose secret or sensitive information, but don't forget who your friends are. The ones that have been friends with you for 20 years. And obviously the ones if they're into drugs and bad stuff, then stay away from them. But if they're good people, don't forget who they are. Don't get into you're a cop now, so you can only hang out with cops. Be true to yourself and where you came from, and be involved in your community, and don't get stuck into this belief that that if you have feelings that it's bad. There's a stigma about mental health, and people historically in policing, clammed up and never wanted to look anything but tough. And then they'd have internal cracks, so they'd drink to self-medicate. It's not so much of a thing now, but I mention it because alcohol abuse is a problem everywhere. Less so maybe than it used to be, but it's certainly still a potential. So don't just deal with your stuff. And if you need to talk to someone, police services have wonderful mental health programs where you can get referred to someone and you can talk to them. And it's a good thing. Okay. And also, advice to new cop, write tickets. Traffic safety is a real thing. It's not just about, bank robbers and thugs. It's thugs on the road, bullies on the road. It's actually true that more people die and are injured as a result of serious injury, or at least motor vehicle collision injury, than all violent crime together. Now, it used to be way higher collision over that of violent crime, and now it's closer to 50-50, but 50-50 is pretty crazy. So the people that get shot up and injured in violent crime tend to be, majority, bad people playing bad games with other bad people. Fewer innocents. Not obviously innocents are victims too, but there's more people in the game who get hurt than just regular Joes. But on the collision side, on the traffic safety side, when someone gets involved in a collision, there are people who are going to work, people who are going to play, people with kids, people with families, people just trying to make a buck. And then one person makes a really dumb move and changes everyone's lives. Those people would have never been involved with anything on the crime side. They would have never been involved in a collision if it wasn't for the decision of one or two stupid people who decide to make it unsafe for everybody else. So traffic safety is way more important than people want to give it credit for. And yeah, traffic matters. Weird science. Okay. Would someone with auto brewery syndrome be able to drive? That's above legal limit due to syndrome. Is there a medical condition? No, I can't imagine there being a medical exemption. Blah, blah, blah. So this is a condition where you're actually fermenting yourself. I had a brief conversation about it once. I don't know enough about it to really say anything about it. But basically, they are absolutely, if they're over the limit, they're over the limit. There wouldn't be, no, you have a medical card that says you can drive drunk, because they would potentially have the impact of that alcohol, would they not? Interesting. We should talk about this more. I should get a friend of mine who's in charge of the program for breath technicians would probably know about this. I will ask him. Steven says, even though you're no longer a police officer, can they call you in if they're short-staffed? They can't. I'm no longer a police officer. And I wasn't able to go on the road before anyway due to medical, due to injuries from my collision. So I wouldn't be on the road. But if they called me, if they asked me to help, I would. I'm a cop for life in my heart. So if they asked me for help, I'd be there in a heartbeat. Okay. Let's see here. If the ABS can be controlled and interesting. Akela's got input about this the system. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. I need a song for my bulletin. What song do you want? Let's make a song. I was working on Suno this morning. I want to make a song. Okay, pinned jokes we'll take care of in just 1 second. I'm just going to see what else we have in the TikTok chat. Talked about that. Bike 1980 says, someone hit me the other day. They didn't want to go through insurance. I said, no, thanks. Yeah, I would always go through insurance. Personally, I would rather see what happens when people get into a collision is that they hit you. They say, I don't want to pay, go through insurance. I don't want my insurance rates to go up. Let me give you cash. Find out how much it is. I'll pay you. No problem, right? But then they don't want to pay you. Or you hit someone and they say, I don't want to go through insurance. They take your money and then they still go through insurance. So you lose your money and you get screwed. Get screwed only once. You made a mistake or they made a mistake. Just do the right thing. Document it. Go through insurance. The best way to go. That's what you pay insurance for. And the money that you would save, you would probably end up paying, like the money you take out of pocket is probably what you would pay on insurance over time. It is an assumption that I make. But generally, it seems to be, if it's not a your fault thing, the person who hits who doesn't want their insurance to go up because they're at fault, it's a different story. All right. But Bike 1980 says, I went through the police and insurance. I think you did the right thing. Boom, boom, boom. Dave Lemon says, other than dealing with cell services trying to stop people with a fine is just a what? Other than dealing with the cell service trying to stop people with a fine is just a cash grab. Dave Lemon, you're saying that fining people for breaking the law is a cash grab? No, it is called a deterrent. If I tell you that if you do something, you have to pay money if you get caught, means you can choose the outcome of that situation. It's not a cash grab. It's a consequence. And the easiest way to have consequences is cash, because I can take your license away and then you can't work. So then you don't make cash, and that hurts you more than just paying a fine. But that doesn't, the fine doesn't mean anything to the police. It's based on what is dear to you. Maybe hard labor, breaking rocks on a field, every weekend for the next 5 years would be better. But we're not in Russia. But that would probably be a better deterrent and more effective for making the road safer. But people would say that's wrong. I think that whatever keeps us safe is good, but I don't think, putting you in the gulag is a good idea. But for you to say it's just a cash grab is a pathetic excuse trying to justify your actions. It just don't hold water. Sorry. Ahmed says, I stopped at a red light but couldn't stop exactly on the line due to snow less than 1 meter. If you entered the intersection, you're still breaking the law. You should have been going slower based on the road conditions. That's the deal. So if you got a red light camera ticket, you're still guilty. Let's see here. So Diego said, you left the force. Oh, no. I did. I left at the end of August, and I miss it. It's been 5 months, and I miss it terribly and miss my friends. But thankfully, they're still my friends. I still connect with them. I still socialize. We chat. We catch up. Yeah, it's a big change. Big change. I wrote a song about it. Let's see here. If you asked, what is this? Oh, you meant something else. I'm not following this. Would I be liable if my car was hit while parked legally on the street? If you could prove that the collision occurred when you weren't there, and you could identify who hit you, your insurance would go up because you could prove who hit you. But the problem is people take off, right? And then you don't know who it is. And then Pickle wants to know about, can a cop give you a ticket on private property if you're not driving and parked? No. If you weren't involved in a collision, if you weren't stunt driving, just being on a vehicle, just having a vehicle on private property is not a ticketable offense. If you're not drinking alcohol in it. If you're drinking alcohol in it, that is a ticketable offense. Not under the Highway Traffic Act, but different. Stunts 20 says no one cares about them. I feel bad for you, Stunts 20. Someone should care about you. Okay. Why do you guys not ticket cyclists? I used to ticket cyclists all the time. I mean, is the focus cyclists? If I see it, I ticket it. But do I hang out waiting for cyclists and ignore cars doing dumb stuff? No, I ticket anyone who broke the law in front of me because everyone's in a vehicle or operating a vehicle on the road. And if you break the law applies to you, you should be ticketed. Life of Rock says, at-fault driver would have to give me at least $10K not to go through insurance. Absolutely too risky because you're the one holding the bag. And what if their check is rubber? Okay. Oh. So Pickle wants to know if the cop can give you a ticket for driving without insurance when I just bought the bike and didn't drive. If the bike was dropped off on private property and it's not moved, well, first of all, you can drive on private property without insurance. You can drive on private property without a license or a license plate. It's not illegal. If you drive it onto the road, it's illegal. If the other person drove it there, they're liable for driving it on the private property. If they sold it and transferred ownership to you in the parking lot, you are not liable for what happened when they drove it, but you are liable for what happens then. If you then load it onto a trailer and drive it and have it trailered home, you did not drive it on the road, you are not liable. So feel free to reach out to me privately if you want to DM me or go to trafficcop.ca and send me a message, and we can further discuss this. But if you were charged for driving on private property, you have a defense. Okay. Where did my interest in policing come from? I had family in the police when I was a kid that were the cool family. My dad's cousin was in the FBI and a local police service before that. So I was in the United States, but he was the cool cousin. So that was definitely an influence early on. And of course I watched Chips as a kid. So I very much wanted to be a cop because of that as well. A motor cop in particular. And I got to do that. Life of Ross says, I'm so happy that you still do TikTok. You taught me so much. You're very welcome. I'm glad that you get value out of it. And I'm also glad that I can help you. By the way, a shout out to Giselle, who is a bylaw officer or parking enforcement officer, or a combination of both. But I had a good chat with them in relation to school zone enforcement. Such an important piece of work that you do, keeping the community safe, keeping schools safe. I appreciate you. Keep up the great work, and hopefully you got lots of tickets. Because it's good. It's good. Lots of tickets in school zones is good. We have here. Okay. Chris wants to know what's better, being a cop or a firefighter. Both are good, very different. You get to nap and cook great food as a firefighter, but you have to run up multiple flights of stairs carrying a hose. It depends. In today's climate, here's the question is, would I want my kid to be a firefighter or a police officer? And with all the anti-police hate, I'd rather have them as a firefighter because they'd love it. But do we need police? Absolutely. Is it the best job in the world? For me, yeah. If you want to be a cop, be a cop. If you want to be a firefighter, be a firefighter. Then you can be in a centerfold in a calendar. People put money in your boots. Sounds like a strip club. No, like in the malls, they walk around with boots collecting money. They do a lot of fun stuff, but it's not. I don't want to run into a burning building. I don't mind running into a building because someone's inside hurting someone and you have to stop the threat. I don't want to run into a fiery building. I'm not a big fan of fire. I mean, I'm not against fire. I barbecue all the time, but I don't want to be barbecued. Different kind of fears. If you were sitting on a vehicle waiting for a ride to bring it home, no, that's not right. No, it's if you're on a motorcycle and this is Pickle follow up on the whole being charged. You cannot be charged for driving a motor vehicle on a private property without insurance, without a license, it's not against the law. I'm assuming you're in Ontario. Maybe in different jurisdictions it could be different, but in Ontario, it's not against the law to be in a parking lot with a motorcycle that has no plates or insurance because you just bought it. It's not against the law. Even if you're driving it around, it's not against the law. As long as you're not on the road. Okay. Okay. Bastard Sibling says, your thoughts on doing donuts and burnouts on private property being able to get penalized. So do I think that stunt driving laws should be enforceable on private property? Yes. The reason why yes is somebody owns that property and it's not. No, I don't have a problem with people doing it on their own lawn. I don't care. If you have a farm and you do it, I don't care. I wouldn't lay that charge. I wouldn't hang out in the bushes trying to get Farmer Joe for driving the farm car around. Personally, other cops may have an issue with it. But in terms of going to Canadian Tire and ripping up their asphalt that they have to pay for, hitting their poles and damaging their property, not cool. And that's who's being protected. It's the property owners who are having their stuff broken, and the other people and participants that are being put at risk when all these takeover things happen. Listen, when I was a kid, I used to go to the parking lots and I would do some donuts and I would do these things to familiarize myself with it's slippery out. Let's develop some skills. And when the law first came in, I said, this is wrong. We shouldn't be penalizing people for this. But the way that the numbskulls in the takeover community treated everybody and treated communities, it has become an issue well beyond that of casually learning how to slip and slide to recover. And again, I argued saying, well, how are people supposed to get used to driving properly? And a friend of mine, this became a big debate, but essentially what came through and got through my thick skull was that you don't train to recover from skids by skidding. You do, skid school does, but you don't train for winter driving by losing control. You train how not to lose control. So you take it to the limit, and if you lose control, that is not the same thing as donuts. So you're driving in the parking lot and you make a turn and you lose control. You recover from that and you continue. You don't just keep doing donuts for fun. That's stunt driving. But if you make a turn and you slide and you recover, that's a momentary loss of traction that was not intentional. You were trying to take the turn without losing control, and then you lost control. Wasn't the intention. See, when you do donuts and drifting, you're trying to lose control. You maintain that loss of control and continuously drive in circles. Different motivation. So can you still use a parking lot to be a safe place to learn to drive in the winter? You can. You just don't drive like a stunt driver. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Bastard Sibling had followed up. I know I went on for a long time, but I said, what's it to you what anyone else is doing on my own property? In Canada, specifically Ontario, when you do stuff on your own property and it leads to injury, guess who pays for it? Everybody. So I can see why they wouldn't want people doing it. And your neighbors who are potentially pissed off that you're making noise. And yeah. So I understand all sides of it. Tony says, is it 0% alcohol for a DZ license even if I'm driving my own car on my own time? It applies to your commercial vehicle. Just like if you get an M2, it doesn't apply to your G. Okay. I'll check out your message, Pickle. Is it fine if I have my plate on my dash? That's from Luca. Plates have to be applied based on the regulation. Front of the vehicle in a conspicuous place. So front bumper, front grille, tow hook adapter, that's all good. Front windshield, not legal. It's halfway through the vehicle. No. Also, in the event that you get into a collision, that piece of metal that's kind of sharp could end up in your forehead. Not a good place. David Cameron says, thoughts on automated speed enforcement on 400 highways? I would love to see it. It is such a interesting thing to drive on 400 series highways because people are just making up their own rules. I would be a huge advocate for automated enforcement everywhere. There's no reason to speed. And if you're going to do 30, 40, 50 kilometers over the speed limit, you don't deserve to drive. Never mind get an automated enforcement ticket. But I think that there should be, if they determine that it's a 10% leeway, I'd be 100% in. If everyone drove the limit, we'd have safer roads. Simple as that. And people who drive legally and then are pressured to go faster because people are bullies on the road and make it unsafe because they're doing such a high speed differential. And then they say, well, it's the slow people that are making it unsafe. No, go to hell. You're making it unsafe. Go back. No, go to hell. You're making it unsafe. Yeah, I got to have a good sound clip. No, the deal is that if you are speeding, if you're making it unsafe, you are making it unsafe, and you can sugarcoat it any way you want. If you are breaking the laws, you are part of the problem. Automated enforcement would be a good solution, I think. Now, either you're going to go bankrupt or not pay your bills and then lose your license, and the consequences would go on from there. But no, I would be a big supporter. Big supporter. Okay. Scrolling back. Okay. Yes, Pickle's 100% right about the piece of metal. Michael, you're right. To bastard sibling, anyone with the interest in stunt driving or racing and brains, go to tracks. You can take it it's legal at a track. Go to the track. And people say, well, it's too far to drive. Well, boo-hoo. Really, that's the answer. Why is there so much speed cameras? Because people are making it unsafe. Pretty simple. Speed cameras are to protect. And right now, speed cameras are only allowed to be placed in areas such as, school safety zones or community safety zones, where kids are, where families are. Should be safer there. Slow drivers cause accidents. Aiden, you just exactly, that's hilarious if you posted it before I actually, or after I just busy ranted about the people who speed say slow drivers are the problem, but it's the speeders who create the speed differential. Now, I don't disagree that if someone's doing 60 and a 100, they're a problem. That's unnecessary slow driving. That's a different story. Jessica, you work where? Where do you work? King of the North. Hello, Jessica. I'm sporting your merch. Jessica, would you work in the back and the front? I was just there yesterday. I picked up my stuff. That's awesome. Tell your boss has messaged me before, but tell the boss I say hi. Aiden says 120 on the highway is not fast, but it is illegal. Julie Mango says, wouldn't that take away jobs from cops? There are not enough cops to do the work everywhere. Can't be everywhere. It is still better to have a police officer pull you over and give you a ticket from the policing perspective, from government perspective, because money aside, money is unimportant in a fine situation. The money is there to make it hurt you. So, the sting, don't do it again. That is what the money is there. It's not to make money for the government. It costs more money to enforce laws than it does to than to try and use it as a generation of funds. The deal is that points are issued by the Ministry of Transportation when a driver is issued a ticket by a police officer, because it's the driver getting the ticket. But when automated enforcement in Canada, or in Ontario in particular, issues a ticket, it is registered against the registered owner of the vehicle. It is an owner responsibility charge, meaning that the driver gets nothing on their license history, which means their insurance doesn't go up because the risk isn't being identified. It's just punitive financially. And if they don't pay it, they lose their license registration. They can't drive the car because the plate won't renew. So it's still better for a police officer. So it's never going to go away. But what I would actually like to see is a change in law. What should happen is what they do in Australia and the UK is the driver, the registered owner, actually has to go against their driver's license. And then it becomes Beast Games. Now I say this, if you haven't watched Beast Games, you got to check Mr. Beast's Beast Games. He could also sponsor the show if he wants. I do love Beast Games. And Mr. Beast is pretty awesome. Despite what anybody wants to say about anything about him, I'm a fan. His chocolate's pretty good too. Anyway, it becomes Beast Games because when you get a ticket and the driver or the registered owner who was not the driver gets the ticket and it says, oh, I've got 3 demerit points, but it was little Bobby who was driving the car, they have a choice. They can be the honorable person and take the hit for little Bobby, or they can say, Bobby, step up and take your licks. You did this. You can go claim responsibility, and they will transfer the points to the actual driver who did it. It takes that extra step of transferring responsibility to the appropriate person. But I think we need that. If it doesn't risk your license, it doesn't really impact you enough. So it won't change the behavior. But it will never take away the police job. And we could focus on more important things. Now, I say that because catching speeders is an all-day, everyday event. You can go out in 5 minutes. You can have 50 people speed by you. You pick usually the fastest one because it's the most impactful. But they're speeding everywhere. Everyone thinks it's okay. So they're catching people here, there, and everywhere. But if they could have that all automatically taken care of, and they can go deal with stolen vehicles and people who are at risk or collisions or more serious driving behavior besides speed. Speed is important. I'm not discounting its importance. But if you could capture and take care of that automatically and focus on the other things, you could just be more effective as a police officer. You're not getting rid of police officers. We're so incredibly understaffed. But you could sharpen that pencil and focus the efforts where it's needed most, because the blanket of speed would be handled already. Yeah. Aiden says, it depends on condition of the road. 120 on a regular day should be a minimum. How about this? If you think so, go do the science on it. Go petition government for it. Make a change, run for office, support a local politician, but don't break the law. Change the law. That's how you do it here. You change the law. You prove your point. You don't just make allegations into the universe and say, it's the way I want. I want to go 20 kilometers faster. Doesn't mean shit. But I do agree that in bad conditions, you got to slow down. And that's because if you are doing the speed limit in bad conditions, you could still be charged for careless driving. You're driving too fast for the conditions. Your thoughts on the truck driver who, I'm going overtime. Yeah, it's 17 minutes already. And I was joking. I don't want to do 2 hours. Now I'm doing an hour and 17 minutes. We're going to try and cut this at an hour and a half. Okay. Your thoughts on the truck driver that smashed into the back of the vehicle on the 400. Is that the one where he was on his phone and rammed those cars? I retweeted that on my x.com account. You should follow me at VoiceOver Cop. Yeah, that was pretty gross. But it shows you how terrible you are as a driver if you're not paying attention to driving. And I'm sorry, if you're a commercial vehicle driver and you're putting that kind of weight and risk of the phone on the road, if you are caught doing what this driver did, they should be a lifetime ban on driving. 100% right off the bat. That is so disgusting. It makes me so angry. They could have killed a dozen people like doing that. It was so irresponsible. You're in a commercial vehicle. You are effectively, you're taking an oath to keep people safe. You have to be doing the best you can. And for the most part, commercial drivers, I salute you. You do an amazing job. I was going to use a terrible name. I was going to try and come up with something really offensive, and then I thought better of it. That driver on the phone, disgusting. Just disgusting behavior. I have no sympathy at all. Sue him for everything he owns. What we got here? Someone said I did 220 on the 407 last night. Their username is a tiger. You're an idiot. 220 on the 407. You should go to jail. I'd charge you for criminal dangerous driving. You should be jailed. You want to be a race car driver? Go become a race car driver. Take a course. Do it on the track. Be a responsible person, not an idiot. 220 on the 407. Jail. Straight to jail. Red Dragon. Recently, many people do brake check on the passing lane. What if an accident happens? It's that fault. So brake checks are actually stunt driving. If you go in front of someone and smash the brakes, causing them with the intention to cause a reaction to the driver behind you, you are brake checking in its purest form, and it is illegal. Totally illegal. They should lose their license for 30 days, their vehicle for 14, and face consequences in court, because in court you would you'd be looking at $2,000 to $10,000, 1 to 3 year driving prohibition, up to 6 months in jail, and that's exactly what a brake checker should be facing. I'm a rules and regs person. You break the rules, you deserve the consequences. I don't think that I'd be happy to take money off the table. Don't worry, it won't be any money. We're going to put you in jail. Weekends, part-time jail. Dangerous behavior on the road. If you don't want to pay fines, go to jail. Max, the Canadian, says, that's the same in Man? Oh, it's the same in Manitoba. What's the same in Manitoba? The brake checks? Michael makes a very good point. If you are speeding, the concept of getting somewhere faster only works if you're driving that speed over a sustained period of time. So if you're driving 10 kilometers over for an hour, you're going to get there faster by that percentage. You can calculate time and distance. If you're doing 10 kilometers over for a quarter of a kilometer, then you're slowing down, then you're speeding up, and then you're really not seeing, you're probably going the effective over average speed to get you there at 60, or the legal limit. You're going up and down, but you're making yourself considerably less safe. For every 5 kilometers over the speed limit, I believe Turf says you're 10%, 20% increasing your chances of collision. It's a bonehead thing. It's just not, it's not smart. You're not getting there any faster, and you're burning up your brakes and you're burning up your gas more. So yeah, Michael says costs are costing more in running costs. You're absolutely right. Committed says, I'll start not pulling over, and then they'll just develop new ways of shutting you down. Running away from the police is such a cowardly thing to do anyway. So if your first thought is, I'll start not pulling over, you don't deserve to drive. You don't deserve to drive. But it's funny. People know stuff. Everyone thinks they know stuff. Where'd the comment section go? There we go. It's a very adult thing to say, too. Wendy says, in Germany, the car owner gets the fine and the picture gets sent to the owner. I love that. I think that's fantastic. Germany knows what. So everyone always says to me, Germany is the reason that you should have the Autobahn. Faster is safer. They don't get into collisions. People don't realize that the Autobahn has areas in Germany that are unlimited in speed. First of all, they're designed for that speed, and they're not in areas that are populated. They're outside of those areas. In the populated areas, 80 to 130 kilometers an hour. And people say, well, see, it's faster. It's more than 100. Yeah, it goes faster than 100. Do you know what they also have in Germany that they don't have here in Canada? Good drivers who are responsible, who follow rules. They also have incredible enforcement, both automated and police on motorcycle and in car, and they don't mess around. You break the slightest rule, you're being held responsible. I love the German police. Love the way they handle traffic enforcement. Fantastic. And I've driven the Autobahn. It's actually a scary place. Maybe not in the areas that the average people go, but in those open areas. I was in a little Renault 3-door hatchback. I didn't feel good in that. Maybe if I was in a big old Benz. But Wendy, thank you so much for chiming in and triggering a chat about my time on the Autobahn. That was fun. It made me think of times of a long time ago, old times. I don't know when my plate renewal is due. That's from Automotive Addiction, because you don't have to do it unless it's all automatic now. Of course, we went through a stage where it was free, but you had to go through and manage it manually. Now it's going to happen automatically unless you have fines owing or a problem, at which they will actually notify and send you a letter only if there's a problem. What's this? Okay. What was this? Oh, the comment just scrolled away. Come on back. Where'd you go? Okay. Oh, I got to keep going. There's more. I missed out on so much. Oh, here we go. All right. Former police officer, did you retire or went civilian? That's from Posh Mint. So I left the police service at just shy of turning 50 days before, and I've gone civilian. I'm not really retired in terms of I'm still working, but I'm working for a not-for-profit called the BTSC or BetterTraffic.ca, which I helped found. Don't crash during flight from police. That is good advice, Michael. Don't flee from police, but yeah. Let's see here. Am I allowed just to keep my car parked and not drive it and not renew my plates and not get charged? That's from Monier 455. It depends on the bylaw of your jurisdiction. So if you are in Toronto, you can't have an unplated vehicle on your driveway. It's against the law. You can be charged. You can't be charged by the Highway Traffic Act, but you can be charged under the bylaw, City of Toronto. If it's in your garage, though, you can absolutely have a stored unplated vehicle. No problem. Bastard Sibling says, why not focus the efforts on making a better licensing program? Many people that should not be behind the wheel of a vehicle. You're right. We have big problems here when it comes to people who shouldn't be driving. But do we not enforce laws? They're laws. All the laws should be followed. You don't like the laws, you should work to change the laws. But I don't believe that we should ignore laws and then tell people to be better drivers and we'll just not enforce the laws. Like, change the laws if they're inappropriate, but until they're changed, you follow them. That's my thoughts. Be the change, but don't be the breaker of laws. Nick says, driving on 400 series highways, I would say I see 40% of truckers on devices. If that's the case, that's gross. We need to increase enforcement. Unfortunately, not enough cops out there to do all that, but I would love to see heavy enforcement on the roads. Take the people who shouldn't be driving off the roads. They don't deserve to be there. It's a privilege, not a right. You see the issues. No, Pastor Stibble, I don't agree. The issues is not just speeding. It's the licensing programs too, but he's saying that it's the licensing program, not the speed. It's both. If you increase the speed, regardless of your skills and abilities, if you increase the speeds, when collisions happen, and you cannot simply say that I'm a better driver so I won't get into a crash, when those speeds are increased, you get more collision, injury, and damage. It's just science. Faster you go, the more energy is being carried, the more energy is going to take to slow and stop you. You're going to make a bigger kaboom. Now, you can say my skill level will help me avoid more collisions, but you can't guarantee what everybody else is doing. If you're on a racetrack, everyone's going the same direction, everyone's a professional driver, you got a chance. But not when you're just commuting. And then people, good, bad, or otherwise, they forget that they're driving. They forget their responsibilities. They daze. They get on telephone calls. They move on. It's not so cut and dry to say be a better driver in speed. Can you drive a commercial vehicle in Ontario if you have another province license? Well, if you are working, so if you're driving if you're driving from another province as a trucker and you're driving through Ontario, obviously there's a reciprocal agreement. But if you move here, you need to get a license here. So if you become an Ontario resident, you need to get an Ontario license within 60 days of becoming a resident of Ontario. Your vehicle has to be transferred ownership within 30 days. And Michael says, yes, if you have the appropriate class. It's true, but if you live here now, it's different. Poshmint wants to know if what happened to the occupants of that car in the 400. I don't know. It's horrific looking, but I don't know what happened. Jay Red Gal says, hey, Sean, where'd you get that sweater? It was gifted to me by the staff at King of the North. Is it okay if you do 10 plus in 100 or 90 speed? What? You can't speed. Not a lot. It's not okay to speed at all. Pickle says, reckless endangerment at that stunting ad, straight to jail. I like that. Straight to jail. And they have to say it in the SNL accent that they, the guy from SNL. I love that clip. Okay. John 369 says, I'm sure it wouldn't be hard to design cars where their speed is limited to the posted amount. I don't disagree. There's a lot of talk in the last couple of years where we talk about having a, what's the word I'm looking for? What is it? What am I thinking of? It's a term used for software based on geolocation. So having your vehicle be able to know based on location, and everything's connected now to the web, geolocation to determine speed. So, you're driving around and your car tells you what the speed limit is now, whether it be by camera identification or by geofencing. Yeah, we should totally do that. You can't go faster than the speed limit because why should you be able to go faster than the speed limit? There's a speed limit. Of course, then you'll have people who will hack it and mess with it. But For the most part, I think that would solve a lot of our problems. Okay. Mobile car cameras I was talking about. Okay. I agree, John, that no one needs the freedom to put others at risk. You're right. But I think car manufacturers would fight that tooth and nail. And they do that because they don't want to take a Corvette and make it go 60 in a 60. It's not sexy, but it is the right thing to do. Paul says, thank you for your continued service. Thank you for the thank you, Paul. I appreciate you. I got to tell you, I enjoy doing this, and I found a way to make it work where our sponsor, Barrett Legal, is contributing to more than just, I was doing this sort of as a hobby after I left because they weren't doing it. So I started doing it. And now it's become something that is clearly needed. And Barrett Legal has said, we want to help you do it. So I appreciate them. And I appreciate you who come out and, participate and help share. By the way, I've been rambling for quite a long time, and I probably haven't said what this is and who I am. This is Ask a Traffic Cop. I'm a former police officer. My focus was on traffic safety, traffic law, but I talk about all police stuff. And although I've retired, my knowledge has not disappeared. So I'm still here to share it with those who want to know about stuff and things. Nicholas wants to know how a cop had 2 cars pulled over. How did he do it? By stepping up and going, you pull over, you pull over. That's how it worked. Or they pulled up aside and said, you pull over, and then pulled up to the car after, and you pull over. Like it's talking. It's just talking. What's the difference between bad breath and drunk guy's breath? Can you tell the difference? Yes. One smells like alcohol, one smells like hot garbage. Or maybe one smells like hot garbage and alcohol, and the other one's just hot garbage. Ugh. I don't miss the sniff. Always the good questions with you. Okay. Who's the bad guy in First Blood? I don't know. I gotta watch it again. It's been a long time. That's an old movie, dude. Geofencing, thank you. Governor, also thank you. Okay. Are you a fan of dash cams? Julie Mango wants to know. I am the biggest fan of dash cams. Driving without them makes me feel naked and weird. In fact, I had a dash cam that broke, and in the time that I bought a new one, had it sitting in the box on the dining room table waiting to be installed, like a long time, I really ignored it. I got rear-ended by a taxi cab on the northbound DVP. And I'm like, I wish I had it installed, but I didn't. But I can tell you the next day I did. It was the next thing that I did. Being protected, having an independent recording of what actually happened could be the difference between your insurance premiums going up or not. Invest in a dash cam. I think you should have a dual camera. I think you should have a dual camera with a GPS on it. Minimum is front camera, obviously, but for very little money, you can have a rear camera as well. And that would have identified whether or not the driver behind me was on the phone. Now, if you get a really good quality camera, and I chose to go with a U1000 from Thinkware, it gives me 4K front, rear, 2K rear, uses Sony sensors. I love it. I'd love to go to the U3000, which is the next up, but I have a 1000. It's a $550 some odd, investment. So I'm not jumping to get a new one. But I can then download the content. I can make videos online with it. I can give it to my insurance company. I can save it for posterity. Whatever the case is, independent recollection of what happened is what you need as a police officer when you make notes and you need to testify. But video is video. It's the best thing. Nobody stops to help anymore. How do you get a witness? You need to make your own, and you need to do it legitimately with a camera. So I 100% rant and rave about cameras. Can you build your own 49cc vehicle and drive it on the road because it's not 50cc? No. If it's a motorcycle or a bicycle and it's got an engine, it's a motor vehicle. There is no insurance. There is an insurance requirement. It must meet all the requirements. It's a home-built car or motorcycle, but it requires licensing. If you take a motor and strap it onto a bicycle, it becomes a motorcycle. It is no longer. Some provinces and states do have an exclusion under 50cc. Doesn't require a license or insurance. That is not the case in Ontario. Know your jurisdiction before you go. Can you explain this weekend jail or part-time jail thing, Max the Canadian? So you can do sentencing where you actually step out of custody on a Monday, go in and serve your time on weekends. Like some people serve jail time intermittently by going in, doing a weekend, and then be checking out in the morning, going back into jail on the weekend. And unless things have changed, that was something that when I was a court officer was a regular occurrence. Okay. In fact, a lot of people were going in on a Friday. They'd be there by a certain time. They'd get there and say, "Sorry, we're full. You showed up. You get credit." It's a pathetic system. We don't have enough jail space apparently to really deal with things. That was many years ago. I don't know if it's still the case. Thoughts on fines being based on income other than set amount, like some European countries? 2 thumbs up for that. If you make $1 million and you drive like a jackass, put lives at risk, you deserve to pay way more than the guy who works at 7-Eleven and made the same mistake, because the impact of the big money to you is the same as the little money to him. And listen, if you go to bail court, if you want to bail somebody out, they say, well, how much money do you make? Yeah, and what do you got in the savings account? Okay, can you afford to put $500 up? And you're thinking that guy they're bailing out their son, daughter, or friend who just robbed a convenience store, and they're asking about, can you put up $500? And they say, okay, it's a surety. You don't have to actually make a deposit. It's not a cash bail. We're going to say if you don't act as a jailer at home, if you don't call police if they don't show up tonight, or don't uphold the rules of the household, you're going to have to pay $500. Serious, right? To the person who has nothing. But if you had a gazillionaire, they would say, okay, you've got $1 million. I don't know, a gazillionaire, and then I say $1 million. You got $1 million in your trust account for weekend spending at the movies. We're going to make a surety $2 million. Never going to happen, but we say $2 million. And if little Bobby doesn't come home when you say come home, or if he's not there, we catch him up breaking curfew or whatever the rules are. Not there, he goes out of the house without a surety except for work, whatever the condition is. We're coming after you for the $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, whatever number they come up with. That's a real deal to that wealthy person. So yeah, I'm a big supporter of it. Sadly, I've never, ever heard of anyone losing their surety. Ever. People who break the rules, who are terrible jailers, who 5 times over, I've heard them, coming back and saying, yeah, I'll be surety again. I'm really going to call this time. I know Bobby never, went and robbed another store while I was watching him, but this time I'm going to call. Very annoying. Very frustrating. Did I mention I was frustrated and annoyed with that whole bail thing? Do speed cameras in Toronto only catch speeding from the rear license plate? Generally speaking, they're all rigged to go that way. In New York region and surrounding areas, you'll find 2 cameras pointed in other directions so they can handle speed enforcement in both directions. However, in Toronto, those machines are not the same technology. There's just a box facing one way, so you need 2 boxes to do 2 directions. Monir455 says, does he even read TikTok chat? Yes, because I'm reading TikTok chat now. What is this? Is there still a RIDE program? RIDE program is called Reduce Impaired Driving in Etobicoke, at least when it launched. And then it became adopted Ontario-wide, and it became Reduce Impaired Driving everywhere. And it's a fantastic program. You hear about it more during the holiday season, during Christmas, but it is absolutely all the time RIDE. RIDE happens all the time. All seasons are RIDE seasons. What do we got here? You're like the TikTok version of Cam Woolley. Kind of, sort of. Cam's retired like 3 times over now. I know Cam. Great guy. He is the ambassador, the safety ambassador to Diamond and Diamond, a law firm, and he does videos on TikTok too. So he is not just, but I am definitely the only live streaming ex-cop between he and I. I don't know if there's probably others who do the similar thing, but hey, if you're watching, you don't know who I am. My name is Sean Shapiro. I am not Cam Woolley. I recently ran into somebody, and he says, "Oh, you're great with the OPP," and I'm like, "I never worked for the OPP. You're thinking of the other guy." I have a bigger beard, and although we're almost the same height, I think I'm better looking. Just saying. If he's watching, hey, how you doing? Okay, so yeah, totally a ride program. Omni Sai says, love your content, man. How's the retired life? It's really good. It's really good to be able to take my kids to school every day, pick them up from school every day, get all the things I need to do, help my family. The reason I left the police service was for family reasons, to be here because they needed me. Otherwise, I'd still be a cop today. I didn't leave under a cloud of bad stuff. I loved every second of being a cop. It's all I've ever wanted to do, and would still be doing it if it wasn't for the fact that there were more important things in my life, which is my family. And it's an adjustment. I'm still serving the public in just a different way. In fact, if I was being paid by the police service now, sitting in the office downtown, it would look very much like this, except I'd be wearing a uniform. Okay. Life of Rock says, one time at a ride check, the cop said, no alcohol today, just coffee. My breath gave me away. Yeah. It's amazing how much we can tell by a little sniff, a whiff. Yeah. What's the best dash cam to get for front and back? So there's two major brands that I particularly like, Blackview and Thinkware. When I did all the research, I had a Blackview. It worked great while it worked, and I actually bought it from a very good friend who unfortunately was murdered. I bought it before then, obviously, but he was an advocate for Blackview, so I took his suggestion, and then when it stopped working properly, I switched and got the Thinkware, which after research appeared to be the best one. So I think the Blackware, the ThinkView U1000, I think is the best, or at least it was the best when I was making my purchase. It was before the U3000 came out, which is apparently better for low light and catching that license plates and things like that. It also has things like radar, I think, built into them now, whereas in the U1000, it was an optional thing. Radar being that if someone walked in front of your car while it was parked, it would power up and record, as opposed to simply waiting for impact. So it really depends on features, but that is even the U1000. Hang on a second. Let's see here. Amazon. Let's see what's going on Amazon. No, why does it want that? Okay. Wants me to verify I'm human. Hey, it worked. I am human. Thinkware. And there's cheaper ones too. So the U3000 is incredibly expensive. Starts at $549 with one channel, being that it's front camera only. And you can buy like Viofo, Viofo, and I know they sponsor my friend's channel. They're a lot cheaper, and they use the same Sony technology to drive them. Now the U3000 front and rear is like $800. And if you're looking at the Viofo version, I'm going to pronounce that correctly one day. Viofo, they've got a 4K 2-camera system on sale right now for $379, regular $49 Canadian. This is on Amazon. Let's see here, and they've got. I mean, I found cameras that are $40. Now I'm testing one. I have a $40 camera, mind you. I got it on Black Friday or Cyber Monday. It was like $40. So it's running concurrently with my other camera, just because I want to compare footage. Maybe I'll start doing camera reviews at some point, or maybe Thinkware will sponsor me. Just saying, or VFO. I'm open to a sponsorship deal. You want to help keep people safe, promote your cameras? Let me know. I'll review them. If they don't suck, I will promote them. I don't think you need to have a camera that has a screen inside. Mine doesn't. The U1000 is not currently. Maybe they discontinued it because it shows on online as $499, but not available or no featured offers. Sorry for those. Oh, well, I'm not sorry. We're an hour and 43 minutes. I can take a break and talk about cameras. They have units that are cheaper. Like they have a thing for F200, which I know nothing about. It's 1080, so it's not 4K. I think the highest quality footage is important because I've taken footage where I can't identify the plate, and that's nighttime stuff and different things. So, but you still just want to be able to show it was somebody else's fault. Okay, maybe I'll go here. Thinkware. Go to their website. And you know what I'll do? I'll go in. Thinkware. Do this. Let's do this. I'm going to share the screen. allow. Think we're Canada. Hey, it's a, can I move that to the other side? I don't like it like that. I don't want this on the, is there no option, really? All right, it'll cover my face, big deal. So here, oh, they've, what do they got here? Dash cams. Oh, can I customize? It says there's a button that says customize. Sorry, I don't normally do this, so hey, I can switch it. Hey, I like that better. Okay, much better. So, what do we got? They got stuff, and all right, $659 front and rear. So that seems like a better price than what was showing up on Amazon. But it looks like they have discontinued my, oh no, U1000 plus. So I have so $499. But I'm pretty sure that this deal is radar included. Parking surveillance reimagined. Equipped with Sony's advanced Starvis 2 sensor. Blah, blah, blah. What do we got? GPS. Yeah, so it actually, and it tells me when there's cameras, like it really goes into detail. I'm not going to, oh yeah, this is apparently, it's low visibility modes. Very good. Does it have the auto exposure? I don't think mine does that. Super night. Parking with built-in radar. That's the thing. So if you want to make a real investment, if you're really committed to doing this thing, I would check out that one. But in terms of solutions that are much cheaper, there are far cheaper. Go away. Stop screen sharing. Okay. There are far cheaper options available. It just happens to be, do you want the cheapest or you want the best? And I'm moving on. But totally I support having it because I can tell you that a story that I think is great. Sergeant Campbell was driving into to a building, it might have been the police station, and someone drove into him, or back into whatever it was. Dash cam is the only reason he didn't have to pay a deductible. He was I think the guy backed up into him, and he was honking at him, and turns out the driver was deaf. If I'm not completely butchering that story. All right, slap. What are we talking? Who's slapping what? Where? All right. Can you get a DUI on a horse? In some jurisdictions, you can. I would have always made the argument that you can't, but you can. I looked this up, I think, watching Yellowstone. So some places, depends on the jurisdiction. In the States, anyway, it's jurisdictional. But I don't know. Bastard Sibling says, all right, Sean, throw your drop shipping link for dash cams. I don't have one. Maybe I should create one of those Amazon referral links. I've thought about it, but I've never done it. I don't want this to be let me sell you something. There's things I really believe in, and maybe I do need a link. Maybe if somebody, and we'll put it to the organization to fund the organization. It doesn't have to go to me. Happy Range 519. How you doing? They said happy Friday, Sean. Good to see you. Graffiti BMX Cop. How's it going? All right, a lot of people jumped into other sections. Good old muscular power. What are we talking about? Tracy, how you doing? Bastard Sibling says you may as well throw a link for radar detectors as well. Absolutely not. Stuff that keeps you safe and protects you from bad stuff is one thing, but I want you to get a radar detector ticket. Like, frankly, I do. I want speeders to get caught. What are the laws in Toronto about G1 drivers? They're the same across the province of Ontario. G1 drivers have to be supervised by a qualified G-class driver, and that means that driver has to have a G-class license and at least 4 years experience. That starts at G2 and above. They have to be under the legal limit for driving. They have to be less than 0.05 BAC, blood alcohol content, to supervise you. And of course, the G1 has to have 0 blood alcohol content, and they cannot drive between midnight and 5 a.m. Life of Ross says, if you wanted, could you go back to work, or is the retirement final after a certain time? No, I could I could go back. I like I said, I left in good standing. If things changed significantly in my life and we had the things we'd need to change for me to go back, I could go back. But I left for a reason. I left because my family needed me. Arminder says, Arminder was thanking Tracy. Okay, it looks like we got things going. Good. Okay, I think we're good. Watch DNA, how you doing? We got to make a date. We're connecting for some from food and watch talk. Are you into watches? Check out Watch DNA. They have a channel on Instagram. Okay, what's this question? As a formal police, what is this? As a formal police officer, you guys really have a target every financial year to issue more tickets. No, there's no, the goal isn't more tickets because we need to make money. It's not financial motivation. It is all about changing driver behavior. I'm getting bombarded. I got my one of my business partners is reaching out to me. Okay, hang on a second here. Can you explain weekend jail or part-time thing? Yeah, you can serve a sentence intermittently. You can serve it on weekends. That's intermittent jail time. So if you Google intermittent jail time or intermittent sentence, you can check it out. Do you get a Toronto Police Union pension along with CPP? I don't, because I left just before turning 50 when I would have locked it in and then I would have been on a pension. But I did not. I pulled out. So the contributions of the pension came out. I put it in. It goes into savings. It came out. Okay. Is it worth it to become a police officer? It is the best job in the world, bar none. I loved being a cop. And I absolutely, I was helping out with a recruiting event because I still believe that we need more good cops. Amanda, how you doing, Amanda? Amanda is a car seat, it's CPST, right? Child Protection Safety. I can't remember what the initials are. Well, I haven't said it in so long. CPST. Child Passenger Safety Technician. CPST. Child Passenger Safety Technician. That's what I'm saying. Just sometimes words, they disappear. Thank you. You put it on screen for me. I didn't have to Google you. I'm a certified as a train the trainer, and I absolutely forgot what the acronym meant. Terrible, but good to see you. If you want information about learning about child safety seats and how to install them, you can check out her channel. She's got great stuff. It is a mouthful. Is it La Cowboy? Or is it La Cowboy? I don't know if I'm saying that right. A driver who's cut a semi truck and brake in front of them to take the exit can have a ticket for it? Hell yes. It's an unsafe maneuver. They're idiots if they do that to a semi. Yeah, they should have more. They should have more consequences. But that's where the semi should have cameras. Bastard sibling, what does that mean? Did you lose your contributions? No, I was able to pull them out. They're in an investment now. But I'm not part of a pension program. I pulled it out and I'm self-managed. But I'm not formally retired. I just retired from policing. Okay. I think we're caught up to date. And I think I went 2 hours instead of 1. So there's that. What do we got here? Back to Basics says, Sean, tell us about yourself and what you did in your career from the beginning to the end. There's a lot of, it's 20, just shy of 25 years of story. I ain't got time for that today. But I've talked about it in the past. I'll talk about it again. Come follow me here, follow me there, follow me everywhere. And we'll I'm sure, discuss it again soon. But it's been a slice. I am going to say goodbye after we read some dad jokes. See, I almost forgot the dad jokes. Okay. Dad joke. I play guitar in a band called Blanket. It's a cover band. That's actually pretty good. Why did the motorcycle fall over? It was too tired after a trip. That one wasn't very good. But kudos for the first one, because that one was awesome. Here's from Michaela. Star Wars dad joke. We're starting with the Star Wars. How does the Mandalorian's friend Queel say good morning? I have woken. That's maybe two dad joke for me, or two Star Wars for me. I have spoken. I have woken. I like it, but it's like, okay. Here's a quote. Mr. Brady, it is the duty of a newspaper to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. E.K. Hornbeck, Inherit the World. Not a quote I've ever heard before, but it works. The cover band, we talked about that. There's more here. Police found 12 bottles of booze in a box. Don't know the owner, but are working on the case. Here's another Star Wars dad joke. What do Imperial pilot eat for lunch? Thai food. I like that. I also like Thai food. All right. Some people say it's wrong to fill up balloon animals with helium, but I say whatever floats your goat. That's not bad. Nicholas has dad jokes. I was at the Bermuda Symphony Orchestra, and in the middle of the concert, the guy on the triangle disappeared. Not bad. It's not a side-splitting one, but it's not bad. All right. What do we got here? A Roman knight walked into a bar. The bartender asked the Roman knight, would you have? Or what would you have? Why is it in quotes? What would you have? The Roman knight holds up 2 fingers and says, 5 beers, please. I'm sure there's a punchline here. Let's try it again. A Roman knight walked into a bar. The bartender asked the Roman knight, what would you have? The Roman knight, 1 second here. Okay. It says 2 fingers. I don't get it. I don't get it. I still don't get it. No magic. Anyone got the answer for that? Let me know. All right. It has been a pleasure to chat with you for 2 hours. And I got to go. I got stuff to do. You might be the only one watching me on Twitter. No, let's see how many people were on Twitter. 54 people on Twitter, but you're the only person who's speaking out on Twitter. Thanks to you. Rizzy, you're the Twitter representative of the day. Okay. I am out of here, but I'll be back on Monday. Have a great weekend. Drive safe, drive sober, park legally, because Aaron Urquhart will hunt you down. And it's the yes. Oh, I'm an idiot. Roman numerals. Thank you for Bastard Stibbling, who says this was 5 beers. Yeah, 5 beers. Okay, that makes so much more sense now. And Rizzy gets. Whoa. There we go. Oh, it's so much. Yes. Because it's a yes. Not yes. And Marinder wants to know what the pay rate is for cops. And the pay rate is on the website. Go to www.tps.ca/careers and you can get it there. You get the, Amanda gets the credit. She was the first one to say V for 5. Yes, you're absolutely right, Bastard Sibling. Pay rate. Do we just do this now? I'm never going to leave this live. This live's going to go on for the rest of my life. Hang on a second. It's tps.ca/careers. I should do this again. I'm going to start doing this again. I'll start doing it. Okay, here we go. Careers. So if we go to that website, you can find out all sorts of information. If you go to the police constable tab, hey, they changed all the pictures. Like I was in my class. You have to be 18, Canadian resident. You get all sorts of great stuff. Let's see here. Scrolling. Here you go. Cadet in training. When you get hired and you go to the police college, $68,864. When you graduate the police college, 4th class constable, $76,533. 3rd class constable is generally about 12 to 14 months after. Is that thing? Is it 13 months? I don't know. It's somewhere. It's a year. Call it a year. 87,476 the year after, 98,409, and then first class constables 109,338, and it comes with all your benefits of stuff and things. Now, as much as I love police officers and think they're the best thing since sliced bread, there are other jobs, and some of them are free. This is a volunteer position. This is how I started out, and it is a magical way to serve and see your community through a whole new light. So if you want to become a police officer, if you don't know whether or not policing is for you, if you want to just be in the best volunteer situation ever, where you get to learn and see things in a different light, like until you've walked around in a uniform, you don't know what it's like. This would be a great way to do it. It's the best thing, best volunteer experience. Let's see here. Let's go into civilian roles. Civilian roles. I don't know why I just zoom in for you. These are the current jobs that are being posted. So you have multimedia specialist, volunteer chaplaincy, infrastructure engineer, intermediate technical analyst in the 911 area, community event section, whatever, communications operator, and Yippee. Yippee is a great program. If you're a young person who qualifies, this is a part-time job essentially. You're able to be involved. You do have to qualify by living in one of these communities. Yeah, parking enforcement officer, not currently posted, but there's information about those jobs. And look, it's a lateral hire. You work for another police service. You want to come work for the best place in the world, Toronto Police. That's where you do it. All right. I am really saying goodbye for today. I'll be back though Monday. Have a great weekend.